Hello children, welcome to a new lecture for social science. Okay children, as today is a lecture for a new chapter, okay, that is chapter number 6, new questions and ideas, okay. But before starting this chapter, let us have a quick glimpse on the chapter number 5. So students, as we all know that it is not a thing that we have to just I will just keep I'll just explain you the things and you have to understand, then you have to study the chapter and you have to complete your notes in order to get some marks, and then it is over, then you will pass into next class, then you have to means it will it just goes on. It is not like that, not just in the sense that to gain some marks. Not only that, the main purpose of learning the social science is that you should relate these things with your real life. So this is what the main thing that you have to do, and it is very must thing, so that this social studies will or social science will really, when you start relating these things with your real life, that would be, or the subject would be more and more interesting for you. Okay, so this is what I needed to tell you in before starting new chapter. So as we have seen, let's have a quick look on chapter number 5. We have seen many other things. We have learned uh, about the Ashwamedha Yagna, who were Rajas, who were Janpadas, who were Mahajanpadas, and how they performed the rituals, or Ashwamedha Yagna, how they performed. What was, we have seen the description of Ashwamedha Yagna, what were Vedic books, later Vedic books, okay? Then how, who were the Varna, especially, okay? So as considering this Varna, as we have seen that priests have divided them, the people into, or we can say there were different groups in society, means priests, warriors, craft persons, laborers, and some people were rich, belong to rich category, some people belong to poor category. And as and also priests divided the people into four groups, means four varnas. We have seen about four varnas in detail. That is Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vishwa Vaishyas, and Shudras. So this is a mainly a relatable topic. So when you relate these things in your real life, okay, it is very much, it would be really helpful for you. So students, I would request you, just relate this thing. So in today's world, if you see, okay, and today also there are many people who follow the Brahmin caste this thing, okay. The Brahmin caste is being followed today also. Also, there are people those who follow over Kshatriya right now. Also, in today's world, you can see your friends might be, or your family and your relatives, or your neighbors, they might be following these castes. Okay, or there may be people who are Vish or Vaishya. Okay, and who are Shudra. These things are related, so you should relate these things. So, as you know, we have learned that Brahmins are the people who had great immense knowledge on the books, the Vedas, as we have seen regarding many Vedas in this chapter. There's some Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, and also other different later Vedic books were also been written. So the Brahmins are the people who have a great knowledge about Veda. They also perform the sacrifices. They presented gifts to the priest. Okay, they believe in their priest. Okay, and Kshatriyas are the people who ruled the nation. Okay, then they are expected to, and they are the people who fight the battles, who protect the people, and who also perform the sacrifice. So, and also Vishwa Vaishya, they are the people who are related to business, who do businesses, means who do trade, who are traders, who do trading. Okay, they are expected to be farmers, herders, the traders, and they also perform the sacrifices. So these things are really relatable. You have to relate these within your real life. And the Shudras are the servants for these three varnas, who Brahmin, Kshatriyas, and Vishnu. So whether in your real life, whether in your nearby or neighbor, uh, wherever you, where your residency is, wherever you live, Do such kind of people still connect with, are they really relatable with these topics as we have done? You can just have, whether you have your friends who are Brahmins, who are Kshatriyas, who are Vishya or Vaishyas, who are Shudras, you might be having. So you can have a communication with them so that you can get a more knowledge regarding how these people actually are. So, and why I'm saying is this is very important. When you relate, this is what social science is. You have to relate. It is not like that you have to just understand the chapter, you have to learn the question answers, you have to complete the books, and in order to get some marks, and then you are passed. Not like that. You have to relate these things, you have to understand these things. Then only this subject will be more and more interesting for you. So I hope that you will do it. You will cooperate with me. Do cooperate with me, because it will really have an impact in learning this social science. It will really help you to understand more about the content, about the topic of the chapter. Okay, students. So please have do have a just search for this. Do have just ask your friends. Right now it's not possible, but when the school reopens, just have a communication with your friends. Okay, in that whether they are Kshatriyas or whether they are Brahmins. Okay, and even though you can ask your neighbors also, or if you know that they are Kshatriyas, then you can ask them casually. Means just to, in order to get more knowledge, whether they perform the sacrifice, how do they perform the rituals, how the priest, how do they consider their priest. Okay, how the priest of that caste, how do they believe, how do they respect their priest, how they perform the rituals. These things you can just have in order to get an idea. Okay, so do these things. Okay, because this would really relate just relate these things with a real life. That would really be helpful for you to understand the concept and the chapter. Okay, now so this is about chapter 5. So let's just do it, and this would really help you. I hope that you will do it. So as for today, as I have said, that we are going to start a new chapter. So let's get into chapter number 6. What is the name of the chapter? That is new questions and ideas. This chapter is also another, as you can see, a good and interesting one. Okay, it's a very good and interesting chapter for you. Uh, okay, so it's very relatable to your life. When you understand the chapter properly, it would really be a good and relatable chapter for you. So have a look. Let's have a look into this chapter. You will be learning about today's topic is that about uh, the the story of Buddha. Okay, you are going to learn about in detail about Buddha and his teachings of Buddha and the story of Buddha and what is Atman and Brahman, or what are Upanishads. They are the kind of books. What are these books, or what these books convey? Okay, then who is Satya Kamajibala? Then who is Panini, the grammarian? So these are the topics that we are going to cover today. Okay, uh, so let's get started. So as now you can take your textbook that is on page number 57. So we are going to start with the story of Buddha. Okay, so who was Buddha? So obviously you all might know that Buddha is a person, or he is considered as a Lord. Okay, so those who follow the Buddha religion, they might be knowing it clearly. Okay, so Buddha, he is the founder of Buddhism, which is a religion. Okay, and his real name was Siddhartha, and he was also known as a name known as Gautama. He also had a name of which in which he was known as Gautama also, but his real name was Siddhartha. Okay, and he was born about 2500 years ago, and this was a time of rapid change in lives of people. Okay, so these are the times where people took a great or drastic change took place in their life. As we have seen in history, we have been seeing that in previous times, people used to go for hunting, used to gather food, and then gradually or slowly they moved to cities. Then we have seen about in cities, how they made the civilization. About we have seen about Harappan civilization. In those times, how they used to make their houses, how the houses were made, how they used to uh, perform certain activities, mm, how they used the drainage system or those in those times. Then slowly, the when it started to develop, then the kings and rulers came, which were being in the previous chapter. In chapter 5, we have seen the kings were being selected by the janas. Janas means people, means rajas. The rajas were being selected by the janas, means the people. Okay, so this way, then the kings started ruling the nation. Then kings had servants. Okay, then as per the king's orders, the servants used to perform the activities as they asked for. So these things we have seen. Now let us learn in deeper sense about what is the thought of Buddha. What was the thought of Buddha relating to our life? So he wanted to learn more about life, how the life would be. So what is the real meaning? So Buddha wanted to know the real meaning of life. What is the purpose of this life? So for that, let's learn. Let's see. So as we have seen that Mahajanas, Janapadas became more important when, yeah, as they became more important, they were called as Mahajanapadas. Okay, and most Mahajanapadas had a capital city. Okay, and as we have seen that major changes took place in today's life. So what are those changes? What changes? Means some kings in Mahajanapadas were growing very powerful, okay, and the new cities were developing, and life in the villages was changing, okay, and there in these connecting these 3 points, the fourth point is that as these things just started developing and changing, there were many thinkers who were trying to understand about these changes, what how these changes took place, what are these changes, okay, and they wanted to know about the true meaning of life. So the perfect example for knowing the true meaning of life that we can know by the story of Buddha. Okay, so Buddha was uh, okay, so Buddha belonged to a small gana known as Satyagana. So as we have seen what is gana in the previous chapter, ganas means it was Gana or Sangha, they were not one. They had many rulers. Means it is used for group that has many members. Gana means they are a certain amount of group, as we have seen in previous chapter. Gana means a certain of amount of different category of people or group who had many members. Okay, and not one, but there were many rulers. So in that group, uh, even sometimes even when thousands of men ruled together, each one was each one was known as raja, because each one had the chance of ruling the entire kingdom. Okay, and so these rajas perform the rituals together. Okay, and this is what gana means. So we have seen that gana means what, a group that has many members. Okay, and not only one, there were many rulers also in this Gana. So Buddha related to this Gana, okay, and what is the name of that Gana that he belonged? That is Satyagana, okay, and he was Kshatriya. He was by caste, he was a Kshatriya, and when he was very young man, he left his comforts of home. Okay, then he left his home in search of what? Because he wanted to learn. He wanted to learn the meaning of life. He wanted to get more knowledge. For that, what did he do? He left his home. He left his house, okay, and he wandered for several years. He wandered here and there. He roamed here and there for several years and meeting and holding discussions with other thinkers. Okay, so he just went on place to place to know more about and to gain more knowledge. And also, then finally, as no one was there to help him, no one helped him, then finally he decided what? He decided to find his own of path to realization. So he started of thinking by himself that let me think about what life is. Then for that, what did he do? He went, he started meditating under a peepal tree, okay, at Bodh Gaya in Bihar. Okay, in that place, he sat under a people tree and he started meditating. Okay, so here what he attained the enlightenment. So, what is the meaning of enlightenment? He gained more knowledge. Okay, as he started this meditating, that meditating sense helped him gain more knowledge. Okay, and after that, he was known as Buddha. And what is the meaning of Buddha? So after the meditation and gaining knowledge, he came to be known as who. This way, the name came. This name was he was came to be known as Buddha. In this way, he was came to be known as Buddha. And what is the meaning of Buddha? The wise one. Okay, Buddha. The meaning of Buddha is the wise one. Okay, so as he started meditating this for many years, he gained knowledge. What happened is that he went to Sarnath, a place where he taught for the first time. He started teaching. So, what are the teachings of Buddha? Then, as he spent his rest of his life traveling on foot, so on barefoot. In those times, there was no any chappals or sandals or like that. So Buddha used to travel from place to place by barefoot. Barefoot means without any chappals or sandals or like that. Without means with his own barefoot, he used to travel from place to place, and he used to teach people. He started teaching people. So as this went on for many years and years, then one day, what he passed away at which place? Kushinara or Kushinagar. So these things you have to underline. Okay, that could be asked as a fill up also. Okay. So yeah, in the textbook, it is on page number 57, last line. Okay. He passed away at Kushinara. Okay. Then let's see about his teachings. What were his teachings? So life is full of suffering and unhappiness. So suffering in the sense what we can say, uh, what is the reason that people suffer? Because cravings and desires, which often cannot be fulfilled. Okay, there were, so it means we people do have a desire. हमको desire means इच्छा. Okay, so our cravings and desire, okay, we often cannot, जैसे वो fulfill नहीं होता है. So when it is not been fulfilled, that is known as suffering. Okay, and so as this suffering comes, we become unhappy. Okay, so sometimes even if we get what we want, we are not satisfied. So yet sometimes, suppose what we want, that thing we will get, but we will not be satisfied. Why? Because we want the same thing in another style or in another way. Okay, so the Buddha described this thing as thirst. So this is what he described this thing, or this wanting, the way we want things in a different way. So he described this thing as thirst or tanha. Okay. So what is the solution for this tanha or thirst? So when we thirst for something, that for something new, so what is the solution for that? He taught that this constant craving could be removed by following moderation in everything. Okay. So we have to be moderate. Means we have to get off. We have to adjust sometimes on our life. Okay. So as you can see, what is the moderation of everything? What do you mean by moderation? Yeah, means we can avoid certain things. Okay, or we can avoid being so greedy. Okay, so this thing, so we have to follow this moderation. Means we have to avoid the greediness in everything. That I want this, I want that, I want this kind of thing. So that thing we have to remove. So because slowly if you start removing this thing, okay, so this constant craving could be easily be removed. So that is the solution. This is what the teaching by one of the teachings by Buddha. And what are the other teachings related to this? He also taught to people about how to be kind. Okay, what is the first point? How to be kind, he taught. Then how to respect the lives of others, including animals. How to, he also taught people how to respect even animals also. And he also believed that results of our actions or work or karma, whether good or bad, it affect us in both. in both this life and the next. So how he taught this thing to the people, that the thing what we do, even if we do a good thing or a bad thing. So if we do good thing, we will get good uh, thing in future. If we do something bad, it will return to us. Something bad will happen to us in future. So if we, so it is better that we have to perform good actions. We have to do good deeds, because that will give a uh, our means our life will flourish. This is what he taught, and he taught in Prakrit language. What is Prakrit? It is a language of ordinary people, so that everyone could understand his message. Prakrit is a language. It is a language for ordinary people. Okay, means that everyone could understand his message. Okay, now let's see about a story. Means he also encouraged people to think for themselves. He not only taught, he start helped people to uh, he, he helped people to and think for themselves. He helped people to think by themselves and then blindly believe what he was teaching. Okay, he just not only taught, but he helped them to think about uh, what they were taught. And there is a famous story about Buddha suggesting the same. Let's see about the famous story. What is that? Story of Kisa Gotami. What is that? Is that he that is a woman named Kisa Gotami whose son had died. Okay, and she was very sad that she roamed through the streets. Means she roamed as her son died. She roamed here and there with his child, asking for help to bring him back to life. So this kind man took her to the Lord Buddha. What else? So what Buddha said is, bring me a handful of mustard seeds. So he asked that lady to bring mustard seeds, and I will bring your child back to life. Okay, this is what he told this lady. Then what this lady did, she wandered here and there from house to house in search of mustard seeds. So she thought that by bringing mustard seeds, her son will come back to life. But as she went door to door. Okay, so she found one thing, that there is, but Buddha reminded her, but make sure when you go into other people and when you see about when you ask for this mustard seeds, make sure that in that family there should be no any member who would not die. Okay, but as she went by, she came to know one thing, that there is no such family in which people have not died. Means in every family one person have died. Uh, One died. Okay, so what was Buddha trying to teach the sorrowing mother? That this thing is actually not possible, because there is at least one member in family who would die. Okay, so this is what the Buddha was trying to teach that lady, that this is not the thing uh, in such a way that there would be no member in family that who would not die. So this is the so as this was the story, so this is what Buddha was trying to say to that lady, that it is impossible. Means it is not the thing like that you would uh, bring, because it is the nature's rule. If anyone has taken birth, he or she would definitely die. Okay, this is what he was trying to teach that lady. Okay, then what other thinkers thought about this around the same time when Buddha was teaching, and perhaps a little early, other thinkers also tried to find answers to difficult questions, that what about life after death, and should sacrifices be performed, etc. So these things were being uh, other thinkers also thought about these things. So what is this life? Is there any life after death? Okay, so these things were being taught. So many of these. Now let's see about the topic. What is Atman and Brahman? So many of this, as you can see, what is that Atman and Brahman? Many of these thinkers believed that there was something permanent in the universe that would last even after death. So they had a belief that something, uh, there was something permanent in the universe, means that would really we can find even after our death. So they describe this as Atman and Brahman. So what is Atman? It means an individual soul, and Brahman means it is the universal soul. So they believe that ultimately both the Atman and Brahman were one. Okay, so they believed ultimately that this Atman means what? Individual soul means one soul. Brahman means the soul for entire universe. That is universal soul. So what did they believe? They believe that both Atman and Brahman were one. Okay, and, and this was about around the time. Now let's see about Upanishad in page number 15. And so there is something that is different, and the whole universe is of one soul. This is what Atman and Brahman is. Now let's see about what is Upanishad. So what are Upanishads? These are the books. Okay, these are the later Vedic books uh, that were we have seen in previous chapter also about we have seen various books, and Upanishads are a part of later Vedic books. Okay, so many of these ideas were recorded in these Upanishads or these books. Okay, so Upanishads were a part of later Vedic books. Okay, Vedic text, and the word Upanishad literally means what? What is the meaning of Upanishad? Means approaching and sitting near. Meaning of Upanishad is approaching and sitting nearby. So the text contain conversations between teachers and students. So Upanishads there were uh, means communication of teachers as well as students. Means there were dialogues. Okay, so often ideas were being presented through simple dialogue. So in dialogue format, they used to communicate with each other. And many ideas of Upanishads were later developed by famous thinker. What was his name? Shankaracharya. This is what Shankaracharya was. Uh, let's see about what the Upanishadic thinkers. Okay, so most Upanishadic thinkers were men, especially Rajas and Brahmins. Okay, so occasionally there are mentions of women thinkers like Gargi. So who was Gargi? She was very famous for her learning, and she participated in debates held in royal courts. Okay, and poor people were rarely took part in these kind of discussions. Okay, as these discussions took place, uh, uh, okay, poor people were not allowed. So who are they? So one of such exception means the one people who are not allowed in that discussion. So one of that person, about that person, the name of that person is given, as you can see in the picture. Who is he? Satyakama Jabala. Okay, so there is one famous exception. So he was named after his mother, the slave woman called Jabala. Okay, and Satyakama Jabala, he had a deep desire to learn about reality. He was a person who wanted to learn more about life. He was accepted as student by a Brahmin teacher named Gautama. So he had a teacher named Gautama who believed in him. Okay, and Satyakama became one of the best known thinkers of time. Okay, best known thinkers of time, and along with that, there was a person named Panini, who was a grammarian. During this time, there were other scholars also who were also at work. One of the most famous was Panini. So he prepared the grammar of Sanskrit. He is the person who created the grammar for Sanskrit. Okay, he arranged the vowels and consonants in special order, and then he used to create these formulae like those found in algebra. As you can see, the formulas as in maths. Okay, like this way, he created formulas in Sanskrit also, and he used these write down to write down the rules of language in about 3,000 short formulas. So he made formulas in Sanskrit. So he here this is what Panini, the grammarian, was. Okay, so this is what today's topic is there. I hope that you understood today's topic. So in the next lecture, we'll discuss about this is was the part one for this chapter. I hope that you understood. Just go on through this part, this portion, read the textbook. You have to read from page number 57, 58, 59, 60 and 61 up to that Panini the grammar. So there you go. Okay. So just read along and just let me know if you have any doubt, you can contact me and read the portion very well along with my video as I made you understand point wise. Okay. So read the chapter well. So relate these things, just try to understand and let's have a look on the next lecture. Up till then, take care and be safe.